Good evening. Welcome to the combined band concert. I am here to introduce two schools. I am Sue Phillips, the principal at Aston Elementary School, and I'm here to introduce both Aston and Coburn. And the band director for Aston and Coburn is Michael Stednicki.
Thank you. My name is Eileen Martin, and I am representing both Pennell and Parkside. And we have our wonderful band director, Mr. Nick Matera. So I know we're all lucky because we have the A band tonight, so we're really excited to see how they're going to perform this evening. So right now we're going to turn it back over to Mr. Matera so we can begin with the Star-Spangled Banner.
Held prisoner aboard a British Royal Navy ship during the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key watched his countrymen defend Fort McHenry against Great Canyon fire.
The night was rainy, and so Key observed the Americans flying the storm flag for foul weather. After the bombing stopped, Key could only guess how bad the damage was because it was dark.
When the sun rose in the morning, not only did they see the fort had not surrendered, but it was flying a larger flag in defiance. Inspired, he wrote the poem, The Defense of Fort Head.
Ironically, the first verse of the poem was set to a famous British folk song. Tonight, the A Band plays the Star-Spangled Banner as our national anthem.
My name is Mr. Stadnicki, and I am the proud teacher of these students in front of, well, behind me at this moment from Aston and Coburn. And if you really liked that our rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, please come and hear our encore performance. If you haven't already ordered your tickets, we are going to be performing that on the field at the Wilmington Blue Rocks on Sunday, June 12th. It's a 1:35 game. It would be great if we could fill the house for these awesome students that we have here. The first tune that we have for you is a tune called Courtly Dance and Procession. It is styled off of the Renaissance era. You're going to hear some different combinations of woodwinds versus the brass. The opening statement is something that you might want to think about as a celebration, a festival, followed by more as a royal dignitary's music, if they would be walking through as they're being acknowledged. finally ending with the dance portion again. Up next, we have some soloists for you. What I like to do with my soloists is just to give a little extra challenge for those who are craving more. What happens with our soloists, I give them a couple different packets that they can choose a tune from that they're familiar with, maybe something that they're not familiar with. They also have their whole entire book. Sometimes people come up to me, students come up to me with music that they've had picked out from with their private teacher or they found on the internet. So these are things with very minimal coaching. These students worked on these very hard on their own. So the first one that we're going to have is actually a duet. It's going to be Yankee Doodle, played by Julia and Julia. Next, we're going to have My Country, 'Tis of Thee, played by Rachel. birthday. For our next tune, as soon as I heard this, I knew that I had to have this group perform it. At Twilight is a legato, slower piece. I use slower pieces to show to the students that there's more to music than just things that are fun and you can dance to. Things that you can have a little bit more thought-provoking ideas or a well of emotions. And for me, this one has been very dear to me, like I said, since I started with this. At Twilight, what the composer has written about him, he uses the time of twilight as his quiet time, his peaceful time, as he starts to reflect on the day, breaks away from the craziness of work and life and things like that, and just enjoys living. And the reason why, again, I selected this piece, it resonated with me because as soon as I heard this, I heard my mother with me. And for those of you who might have heard, I lost my mother to cancer back in July. And so this is something that I've been thinking about at Twilight, the good memories that I've had, and just knowing that she's at peace and trying to find peace myself. So here's our rendition of At Twilight. lighten the mood a little bit, shall we? Up next, we're going to have a soloist. This is more of the pop genre that I have, as well as some rock, pop and rock. The first one, we have Lean On Me, who's going to be played by Ashley. Next, this is an instrument that Caitlin here just picked up within the last few months. It is an oversized clarinet, essentially. It's the bass clarinet. It's quite different. It's a larger mouthpiece. It feels a lot different. Has a nice, deep, wonderful tone. And we're going to have Caitlin here play Heart and Soul. Over on this side, we're going to have Nikki, who's going to play a jazz waltz called The Inchworm. And finally, we're going to have Elena here play The Yellow Submarine. Our next tune, Ogo Pogo, subtitled Legendary Lake Creature, is written with the idea of the Ogo Pogo, which I'll have to make sure I give you the right name. Okanagan Lake in British Columbia was actually a lake creature that was spotted before the Loch Ness Monster, so she's a little bit older than the Loch Ness Monster. And what you're going to hear at the beginning, you're going to hear some crescendos and decrescendos, the swelling of the music as you kind of hear the lake creature moving in and out of the lake, soon to disappear, becomes a little bit mysterious, until all of a sudden the lake creature makes its appearance and everyone starts to freak out, and then it slowly goes back to sleep in the lake. This is Ogo Pogo. last round of solos, where you'll start off. I was thinking this is the movie themes section. This is going to be Over the Rainbow, played by Sneha. Who's going to play the theme from Star Wars. Jacob, who's going to be playing Castle on the Cloud, as heard in Les Miserables. Jordan, who is going to be playing The Hanging Tree, also made popular by the Hunger Games. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a pure testament as to something called private lessons can do for your child. There are quite a few, actually a couple students up here who played solos who are also taking private lessons. And if you're looking for something to give a little extra to your young musician, private lessons are really going to help your child excel on his or her instrument, especially when you find a specialist who regularly performs on their instrument. And if that's something that you'd be interested in, please give an email to either Mr. Pinatero or myself, and we'd be glad to direct you to a list of area private instructors to help you out with that. Before we close out with our last tune, I just want to say a very special thank you to our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Steinhoff, for making his appearance this evening to support us and everything that he does to see that music education is thriving in our schools, as well as our Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Gregg, and my two principals that I've become very familiar with, probably maybe too much with all the complaints that I have, not about these guys, but of other things, my own personal things. Aston Elementary, Mrs. Phillips, and Coburn Elementary, Mr. Kaminka, they provide me with so much support, these students with so much support, making sure that instrumental music in our schools are strong and thriving. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the family members, especially all the parents who have been driving students back and forth from school, whether it's from rehearsals or extra lessons, things like that. And for the financial aspect of it too, because I realize that these items up here are not cheap, and it really means a great deal for your child's future to allow music education into their lives. Last but not least, also the students that are behind me for all of their hard work that they've shown these past 2 years. Certainly we'll miss them at Northley. We'll be glad to see them when they're back up here at the high school. Our last tune is Union March. I like to do something that puts us back to our roots, the traditional concert band, going back to the idea of military brass bands. And oftentimes that's what their repertoire was. And that's actually how the school band repertoire started to grow, was through using military marches. So again, this last tune is Union March.
Welcome to our portion of the concert. This is the Pennell and Parkside A Band.
In styles of music any band can play is the military march. This music was used often in European countries, and the style made its way to the United States.
This is the music you can walk to. In the United States, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardmen march in formation to these familiar tunes.
Honor March is written in march style. It has a short introduction followed by first strain and second strain. Lastly, there is a third melody called the trio, which we play at the end of the march. We hope you enjoy and tap along to Honor March.
Hello, yes. I do have plans to thank our students later. They keep me together, and I'll explain a little bit why, but these are sort of the reasons why these students are really helpful for me. Sydney is here to play Somewhere Over the Rainbow on her alto saxophone. Sophie, play You're a Grand Old Flag on her clarinet. Genevieve, who will play Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on her baritone. This is Andrew on the snare drum and this cymbal, which is the suspended cymbal. And we've got Zane and Julian, who are going to play a trumpet drum trio. On the alto saxophone, playing an excerpt from our next song called Alpha Squadron.
Alpha Squadron is another song in a marching style. It isn't a march and it has much more serious sound, but it describes the power and order of warplanes and the people
for them. The piece is played in a minor key, which means that it has a sad sound instead of a happy sound. But really the song doesn't sound too sad at all because of how forceful the instruments are that play. This is Alpha Squadron. saxophone section of play Sax Attack. This song challenges our saxophone players to play tricky notes and rhythms, backed up by the rest of the band with blues and rock sounds.
You'll hear Evan, Dylan, Raymond, Samuel, Gloria, Kylie, Justin, Victoria, Emily, Molly, Sydney, and Brendan play their saxophones to the rock and beat. Good luck, saxophones. Here's Sax Attack.
we would like to hear from Emiliana, who is playing the xylophone in the back here, and she's going to play an excerpt from the opera called Porgy and Bess. Actually, it's the overture to the opera. This is Connor Weber with an encore performance of You're a Grand Old Flag. Here to play the. You're going to go now. It's your turn. And Emma Wood's going to play the first couple notes in the beginning of a song called Uptown Funk. Woznicki is here to play a movement or a section from, he's got it memorized, of liturgical fanfare. Justin Wassel on the alto saxophone and Nate Swigert on the snare drum. They're going to play a piece called the new theme from the New World Symphony. Those two made that up at 1 o'clock today. That's because that's when I told them about it. We've got one more song to play for you, Ode to Louie. I wanted to echo what Mr. Stadnicki said about thanking our administration in this school district, which has been so supportive in supporting music education. We have a lot, and we're very, very grateful for it. I'd also like to just take a very quick moment just to let you know what goes on to get this concert to happen. Mr. Pry and his students, these are the high school students and the high school teacher, they're fresh off a championship victory in their marching band season. But they help us when we have near catastrophes during rehearsals during the day. There are people there are like about 12 different bus drivers that have brought these students all over the district. There are 5 different buildings worth of equipment on the stage. This is not all from Sun Valley, it's from all over the district. So facilities, people, it's just really crazy to think about all the truck drivers, the building custodians that have to be ready. Michael and I, who sort of have to be at the door early in the morning to make sure it happens. And then lastly, the teachers and nurses who have to prepare the students to get on the bus and go. It is literally a team effort. And it takes a lot to get these students on the stage, but we're glad we do it because I think there's a lot of joy on their faces. Michael also mentioned very quickly that music is very personal for him, and it is really personal for us. I just wanted to take a moment to tell the Pennell and Parkside parents, and also the Aston Coburn parents of the children I've met, that I'm really looking forward to the end of the school year. But that being said, I really, truly will miss, I'm really going to miss this particular class of children. They are really really caring for me, and music is a two-way street. So I care for them as a teacher, and I really do love them, and they're just absolutely vibrant. But they return that to me, and I think that's part of the music experience. I don't know if other teachers get to have that, but I do, and we're very grateful for that. Before I turn it over to the student, actually that's it. I'll just stop. Okay. To Louie, who are the talkers for this? No. Miss Martin, you're here. I would like to thank Miss Martin. I always have something extra. She's the Pennell principal. And after a really long day and just a tremendous effort every day, she's always smiling at me, because I need that. And she's here tonight to hear our Pennell and Parkside students too, and Aston and Coburn. So thank you, Miss Martin. And Dr. Steinhoff.
Beethoven is one of the most famous composers of all time, and his Ninth Symphony is super important in the history of music. It was the first piece to combine both orchestra and chorus, and is full of emotional music.
It takes over an hour to perform the whole thing. Beethoven was a nut, typical for a musician, right? He was a messy guy and had terrible behavior. Once he got so mad at a waiter in a restaurant that he dumped a plate of food on the man's head and laughed. He had a loud laugh and a loud, annoying voice. And he liked to spit. He sometimes left restaurants without paying, and sometimes he wrote music on the bill. None of us are like that at all. But we're ready now to play a very exciting song, Ode to Louie.
We have one last transition. This is for us to get ready to play our final song for you, Any Way You Want It.
Time before we ship them off to Northley and enjoy all the great things they will do there. The all elementary A band